Allow, allow. Nope, nope. I don't have the required. I don't have the ability. I don't have the mouth. I don't have the commitment to pull off a accent for any longer than the greeting. New Things Day, February 8th, 2017. Normal things. Let's get into it. Comics first, as always. Power Man and Iron Fist 13. I've really been enjoying this book a lot. There's a lot of book here. You get a lot of book every time you purchase this book. I just need to restart. What's going on right now? Unworthy Thor number 4. This book is fantastic. I've really enjoyed what's going on. We learned what Nick Fury said to Thor, which, I mean, after what, 3 years, 2 years, it's kind of, you never thought it was going to be, I don't think it would have lived up to anything unless they would have launched another event off it. But I think we have enough events going on that we don't need. IVX4 and Humans vs. X-Men, and this variant cover is amazing. This is the variant cover by Michael Cho. And if you know what's going on, Karnak was being trapped by Jean Grey and the sisters, just kind of keeping him in a maze so we can't see the weakness and get out of it. And this cover is phenomenal. I love this cover. It's fantastic. And the book's okay. Book's all right. Working on it. I think it's building, and it's going to have a payoff, as opposed to some of the minis we get, not minis, some of the events that we get where it's just action, 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 just great issue, great issue, great issue, and then it kind of just tapers off. I hope that this is doing the opposite. I hope that it's tapering on. Deadpool the Duck number 3. The second issue was pretty damn good, actually. I enjoyed the second issue a lot better than the first issue. I'm on this until it ends because it's only, what, 5 issues, 4 issues maybe. So we'll see how it goes. I liked the second issue, though. I thought it was enjoyable. It was funny. It was fun. Looking forward to that. Complete 180-degree turnaround from the first issue. Fool Killer number 4. Written by Max Bemis of Say Anything fame. And I like this book. It's different. I feel like a lot of the books I like is different. A lot of the books I like are different. And this one feeds right into that category. Psychiatrist, former hero, villain, former vigilante, working for S.H.I.E.L.D. to try to rehab villains, and if he can't, he kills them. Looks like Deadpool's in this one. That should be fun. But I enjoy it. I'm enjoying this book a lot. Every time I read it, and when I say it's different, that one is actually different to almost another degree, because whenever I read it, it almost doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a superhero book to begin with. It kind of doesn't even feel like a Marvel book. So it kind of has that, even though it is a Marvel book, it adds a different kind of taste in my mouth. Speaking of taste in my mouth, let's talk about a good one. Justice League Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 2. Can't wait for this. Can't wait. I wish they would have offered a bunch of covers for the second issue too, but I get it. I would be upset if I were not as big a fan of the Power Rangers as I am. I would be upset if that would happen. So, and I do get upset when that happens to other books that have many covers for many issues. So I'm actually complete 180 on what I just said. I'm happy it only had one cover. What is wrong with me today? Speaking in circles here. Detective Comics number 950. Oversized anniversary special. It was only $3.99 though. I hope it's just a one-time thing. I hope it goes back to $2.99. It looked like we have Orphan's origin in here. I just flipped through really quick, and I hope that's what it is. Maybe not. Maybe just an orphan story. I don't know. I'm excited to read it. I've been really enjoying Detective. Supergirl number 6. The classic chain break cover. Got to have it if it's a super book, and Supergirl's no exception. This book's been good. I've liked the story in this a lot. We'll see going forward how it gets. It's setting some pretty high stakes, and I'm gonna be interested to see if after this storyline's over, if it'll still feel like a complete book once those stakes are gone. Speaking of high stakes, Action Comics 973. And is this a Superwoman tie-in? I feel like it has to be. It says it's part one of a new thing, though, but the cover makes me think it's part of a Superwoman tie-in, with Steel holding Superwoman. I don't know. I like the other cover. It had Clark Kent on the cover with his glasses, and in his glasses was a reflection of Superman, I think, or just the logo or the family. I don't know. It was a little. It wasn't centered. It wasn't. I don't know. I'm in a real. I'm in a real like structured mood today. I want to see things structured, centered, complete, whole. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Number 8, New Superman. Number 8. I really like this book. I really do like this book a lot, and I hope it starts getting some more credit because I'm really enjoying it. Really excited. I didn't think it would work. I was on it for the sake of being on it, just to check it out, and it works and it's working. The aforementioned Superwoman is number 7. Both covers looked very similar. It almost looked like this was the one cover, and then the other cover was just like this zoomed in on. And I believe they were both Andy Kubert covers, which is kind of interesting. Usually the cover and the alternate cover aren't the same artist, I don't think. So it was a little interesting, but I've been enjoying this. This is the one where Lex's sister's going wild. And going wild, I don't mean in the, I wish I could pull his name. I wanted to pull the Girls Gone Wild. The guy who curated Girls Gone Wild. Curated's the wrong term. I wanted to pull his name, and I couldn't do it. Joe something? I don't know. What happened to that guy? Think he still has money? He has to, right? I don't know. Wonder Woman number 16, last of the new issues for the week. And this cover's pretty damn nice. I like this cover a lot. I like this book a lot. Although I don't know what storyline this is right now. I always get confused and I bounce back and forth. This is God Watch Part 1. So we got another beginning of a storyline here. And that's it for the new books in record time. Now for the back issue. Once again, I just grab I've been trying to, I don't know, make my collection a little more diverse. And I saw this, and it was just in like the dollar binish area. So I had to pick it up. This is Warriors of Plasm number 1 by Defiant, but it is autographed. And I do have a certificate of authenticity here, autographed by Shooter, Lopham, and Witherby at San Diego Comic-Con 1993. That is impossible to see. So I feel like that's a hell of a book to get for, I think I paid $1, maybe $1.50 for this thing. Hell of a book to get for $1.50. I might actually own this book already. I don't know, but I know I don't own it autographed. And that is very interesting to me. How often do you find a autographed book in a dollar bin? I don't know why I'm looking at it. That's not what this video is for. Yeah, so Jim Shooter, Lapham, and Witherby. Lapham also did the cover, so that's fun. 93. It's a long time ago. Before I get into books, something else, just quickly. I picked up this map. A friend of mine and I are doing the Laurel Highlands Trail come summer. So I finally got the map so we can start mapping it out. 70 miles-ish. 70-ish miles. Shouldn't take us that long. I mean, I'm a pretty fast hiker. I'll probably slow it down if we're going, a greater distance. But I mean, I usually go out I can go out in the afternoon and knock out 11 miles, 12 miles. Not really an issue. But I'm excited about this. Excited to start planning this. And I hope to maybe get some type of, I hate the term GoPro, but I hate that that's what those cameras are called. But I feel like I might get something along those lines and just like kind of map the whole thing, track the whole thing, have it like a sped up and like the whole trail. I would really like to do that for a lot of different trails because I think, and this trail I've done chunks of it, and it's one of my favorite trails I've ever been on. I absolutely adore the trail. So I'm looking forward to that. Now I guess we might as well get into some books. As the story goes, if you haven't seen any other videos, Hillbilly bought a garage. It used to be a bookstore. They wanted to put their race cars in there because they're hillbillies. I saved some books. Still working my way through them. First up, we have Amy Vanderbilt's Complete Book of Etiquette. Looks like it's from a series, A Guide to Gracious Living, published by Doubleday, hardback. Has tabs here. Let's read a quick excerpt, shall we? Financing the family. Not doing that one. Extra guests at the dessert course. Here we go. An easy way to expand your entertaining painlessly is to invite a manageable number for dinner and then additional guests to join you for dessert and coffee in the living room. But of course, it is not necessary to include for dinner or even dessert all the guests you may have invited for the evening. Some may be invited much later than others, although 9 o'clock is usually the latest for which such an evening invitation is given. I'm going to be honest. If I read this, I will live my life this way. So it might be better for me if I don't read this because some of these things are definitely outdated. Here we go. Arrivals and departures. Hosts and guests. Chapter 36. How a guest takes leave. Here we go. We're doing it. That's a lot. Problem guests. Do's and don'ts. Yeah, I might need to read this and just live my life. Well, let's get a year here so I can figure out what year I'm going to be living in socially. This has to be a little dated. And by little, I mean over 50 years, over 60 years. I'm going to say this is etiquette book, 1959. I'm going to say 59 on this. And published by Doubleday, which I may have already said. This is 1958. Original copyright 1952. So, oh boy, chapter 53 is adopting a child, teaching children to behave. Here we go, doing it. Here we go. I might do an entire series, me reading things from this and then saying of how it can go wrong in my life because I just have problems all the time. Here we go. Why we must have roles, teaching children to behave. Subtext. Family life must have roles, although occasionally they should be relaxed for good cause, just as roles outside the family are sometimes relaxed within reason. Parents must know that children need and want direction. They don't want wishy-washy parents, sometimes easy and sometimes, and most inconveniently, rigidly strict. Nope, convenient. Did I say conveniently? I might not have said conveniently. A little child will say with pride, I am not allowed to visit after school without permission from my mother. The child who is permitted to do anything he pleases is not secure. He is rudderless and shows it by his behavior. Maybe I'll read all this except the parenting stuff because I am terrified of having kids and this might mess me up more. Oh, a whole section here. Expenses of the bride's parents. Groom's expenses. Also, wow. If this is an interest to anybody, I will read this entire book, piece by piece, chapter by chapter, paragraph by paragraph, in videos, and decipher it. I might do that for myself, just so I don't feel as guilty reading this on my own time and thinking that I'm bettering myself. I call it for entertainment, and I don't take it seriously. Let's not overshadow the fact that I was very close with that book. Shadow of the Long Knives by Thomas Boyd, hardback, decal edge. little dirty. Little pages are a little dirty. I don't have a guess for this. 19. These still old. We're still working old here. 63. 63 on Shadow of the Long Knives. I think it's earlier. Oh boy. Oh boy. 1928. Published by Charles Scribner and Sons. Well, that's a disappointment. Next up, Dancing to Danger, Priscilla Hagon. Illustrated by Suzanne Suba. Artwork on the... We kind of just have a illustrated hardcover here. Very nicely illustrated hardcover, actually. And I'm going to say same ballpark as the last one, I think. If this one's 20s, I'm out. 1963 on this one. Dancing to Danger. Published by the World Publishing Company in Cleveland. This is 1967. Where are these illustrations I'm hearing about? I don't see one illustration. Not one. Oh, there's some. That's not bad. Dancing to Danger. No idea what this is about, but it's a pretty book. Wide Meadows by Jean Bell Mosley. Might be Jean. I'm going to say it's Jean because it's a woman. There's a picture of her on the back. $4 cover price. Here we go. Once belonged to Violet Shepherd, which is a fucking amazing name. Violet Shepherd is a win in the name column. Kind of a picnic blanket cover here. Dust jacket. Dust jacket's pretty beat up on the back. Very slight decollage. Maybe not. I don't know. Looks like maybe just some lazy page cutting. The dust jacket's kind of loose. Probably tighten that up a little bit. $4 cover price on this. I gotta say this is 63. 1963 on this thing. Wide Meadows by Jean Bell Mosley. 1960. We're back on track. Back on it. Next up, Be Glad You're Neurotic by Bish. Might just be something collected by Bish. There's something weird drawn in here. Don't know if it's... I think it's dresses. I think it's dresses upside down. On the inside cover is written smooth oval shaped. Or smooth oval shaped. Oval is underlined. And then there's like two pictures of dresses or corsets. Or... I don't know what it is. But they're drawn kind of upside down. That would be upside down. That is how the book is actually made. That's the way the book should be. But I feel like they're drawn that way. I'm not really sure what they are. It says belongs to that family. Oh, annuitor? That's not a word. No cover price on this. Be glad you're neurotic. It is by a doctor, Dr. Louis E. Bish. Published by Whittlesey House. Whittlesey House. Copyright. Looks like they're a publisher of McGraw-Hill. It's a little dusty. He's cleaned. I'm gonna say this is early 60s, 61. Be glad you're neurotic. Might be earlier. Looks like this is, oh boy, third printing. Way wrong again. Copyright 1936 on this thing. Seldom do you seem to be able to make up your own mind. Should I or should I not? Becomes a bugaboo that continually casts its shadow upon your thinking to muddy and to confuse it. Often, as the saying goes, you don't know whether you're coming or going. Irresolution continually stops you in your tracks. You keep stalling. So far as your progress is concerned, you seem to be standing on your own foot. As a result of these ifs and buts, you find your evaluation of persons and circumstances to be untrustworthy. You place emphasis where it does not belong, or contrariwise, you underemphasize the importance. So be glad you're neurotic is just going to tell you how neurotic you are. At least up until page 50. Excited to read that. The Dangerous Edge, a novel by the author of Prince of the City, Robert Daly. Robert Daly. He kind of looks like, what's the dude's name? He reminds me of. I'm never gonna pull his name. I can't think of the actor's name. I can't think of the character he played's name. Lundy. Looks like Frank Lundy from Dexter to me, a little bit. Just the first thing that came to mind. I had to dig to get it, but it was the first thing that came to mind. $16.95 cover price on this thing. Hardback. Dust jacket. Pages very clean. I'm going to say 1968. It might be way up. It's going to be the 80s or something. I'm going to throw through a wall. $1983. You know, I do my best. I come in here day in, week. I come in here once a week. I grind over this hot pile of books and I try my best. And then when I fail like that, I feel like I failed myself. I feel like I failed my ancestors. I feel like I failed you. Gotta get back on that horse. I'm not getting on a horse, though. Horses scare me. Figurative horse. Raven and the Kamikaze, a novel of suspense by Donald Mackenzie. Oh boy, this thing's destroyed. Half the pages are ripped out. Not ripped out, but $7.95 cover price. The spine is shattered. This needs some serious TLC. I'm kind of bummed out about it. I didn't know that. 1969 on this thing. I just want to put it down. I feel bad for it. It needs fixed. There's no copyright page. It might have been ripped out. It might have never existed. But if I were to wager a guess, it's been ripped out. That's the one page that's missing. That's a bummer. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that. Next up, High Steel, Jack C. Handelman II and Jack Dawn. Published by Tor. Library bound hardback. Look at this thing. Gorgeous. Laminated. Library binding. Amazing. Cover price, $18.95. This is definitely an 80s book. This is an 80s book through and through. 1986 on High Steel. 1993. Hey, it's almost an 80s book. 3 years off. The Nation Thief by Robert Houston. Library bound here. $13.95 cover price. Interesting cover art here. Excited to see what that's about. I think we can imagine. This is, it is a 90s book too. This has to be 1991. Has to be 91 on The Nation Thief. 1984. Okay. Last but not least of this video, it's definitely not last. Oh boy, and this thing appears to be in German. Some of the beginning is not, but we'll see. This is Egmont. Gritte's Egmont. I don't know. I think it's published by Hatfield, or Hatfield did something in it. Maybe wrote an introduction. No, it's edited with an introduction and notes by James Hatfield. Heath's Modern Language series. Yeah, it's definitely in German. And I don't speak German. I can't read German. So I don't have a guess for when this was published either. It looks pretty old. I'm going to say 1929, just because I honestly have no idea, and I'm just going back. Actually, it's even farther than that. And I'm all right with getting this one wrong, because when I have a book this old, I'm all right with getting things wrong. This is 1904. 1904 on the Egmont in German. So this is one that I will not be able to read until I learn German. I know very few things in German. There's a German exchange student that I went to high school with. I know I love you is hard as shit to say. It's basically all I got. So that's it for this. Still got a lot of books over here. Still got a lot of books. Thank you for watching, though. I appreciate you. Follow me on Twitter at Breakdown Brand. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Earbones Podcast. Might be at Earbones Comics. It'll be in the description box. The podcast, also, we do a video episode, which we upload here on the Tube of You. In addition to that, I've realized I don't have. I was in the shop today, just Snapchatting some things, and I realized I have very few people in my Snapchat that I can share comic book things with. So if you would like to be a Snapchat friend with me, and we could comic picture each other, I'm at Breakdown Brand. I don't think it's at. I'm just Breakdown Brand on Snapchat as well. Thank you. I appreciate you more than you could imagine. And love each other and love yourself. Thank you for watching.